Have you ever felt that you had conquered or overcome something in your life? You were at the top of the mountain peak, looking down on all the problems, fears, and things it took for you to overcome those things to get there, only to come crashing down to the pit of despair. The feeling of accomplishment didn't seem to last for long. The feeling of victory and euphoria faded out. What went wrong? This is how Elijah felt. He had just shown God's power by fire coming down upon a water soaked altar, burning up the sacrifice and proving to those that followed Baal, the false god and the idol, that God was real and to be worshipped. It was a defeat for the record books. The priests of Baal had set up their altars on Mount Carmel, had called upon their gods to bring fire down while Elijah waited. However, nothing happened for them. Then Elijah's turn. He poured water all over the altar and called on God, and God responded by sending fire from heaven, which consumed the sacrifice, the altar, and the water. Elijah had the victory over those that opposed God. The problem was their leader, Jezebel. She was the queen. She was the wife of Ahab. He was the king of Samaria, the northern part of Israel. When she found out what had happened, she put her head out on him, a warrant for his death. The courage at Mount Carmel turns to concern for his life. From the mountaintop of victory, Elijah came tumbling down. He ran for his life to another mountain, Sinai, the mountain of God. Here, he is in deep despair. He has traveled from one end of the country to the other. He is alone and isolated. But God is still with him. God strengthens him when he feels he can't go on. He feeds him when he is hungry. He encourages him to continue. Elijah reaches Mount Sinai or Mount Horeb, where he goes into a cave. He is in deep despair. He is depressed. He is discouraged. He has zeal for God, yes, but he feels he's the only one. He knows that Jezebel is trying to kill him. And so here he is, as far away from her as he can possibly get. Here, God asks him, with great care and concern, "Why are you here, Elijah?" Elijah replies with the great zeal that he has for God and the fact that he's the only one. God sends an earthquake, a wind, a fire, but God's not in these. These are natural elements, perhaps a reminder against the pagan worship of Baal, especially that of Jezebel's God. This shows God is who he is. He's still in control. He still has care and concern for Elijah. He is still the God who showed up at Mount Carmel. After all these things, there is a still small voice, like a whisper or a breeze, not like the great wind that had come before. God doesn't always speak in the most obvious way, or the way that we want, or the way that we think. And there is always a remnant of people who follow God. And this is what God has told. Elijah is then given a new commission. He is sent to anoint new kings. Although this doesn't happen till later, but it's a sign that Ahab will no longer be king. God has seen the destruction, the despair, the problems that Ahab and Jezebel have caused, and he's going to deal with it. Elijah is also sent to anoint a new successor, someone who will follow after him, to serve and follow God in a place of despair, anxiety, depression, and persecution, like Elijah did, requires us to listen to that still small voice that brings peace and comfort and also strength to continue to fight. God is still there. God still cares. God still hears. And this is what Elijah discovered. He was at the peak. He went to the pit, but God preserved him, was patient with him, and God helped him.